Hello and welcome to Scale Your Sales podcast. My next guest is a 6 times author. Now that is pretty prolific, isn't it? Author, speaker, sales champion and business coach and founder of Why Sales Network. Her passion is educating students and professionals on the sales profession. Welcome to Scale Your Sales podcast, Joyce Johnson.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks, Janice.
Well, it's good to have you. First, tell us more about Why Sales Network and Oval.
Well, Why Sales Network is an organization I put together to further educate individuals about the sales profession and provide them with tips and strategies, processes for success in their sales careers. The Oval we created in order to have something extra for our members. So the Oval is a free membership that we offer. When they sign up, they receive 2 free copies of my ebooks. And then they also receive access to some of the other programming that we have, because everything we don't send out publicly. Yeah. So it's a portal to be able to further educate and train people. They've been asking me to do a master class. So it's sort of a master class in a box, but it's inside the box is the Oval.
So, how have things changed for you? We're all experiencing a global pandemic. We've had to adapt some of the things that we're doing, and our customers have had to do that. So give us some idea of the way you've changed and then the way your customers have had to change.
Well, my customers have had to definitely go from walking into an office in most cases to a virtual space. And it's definitely on the student side been a challenge for the students because, as you know, now they're doing virtual learning. A lot of them had to pack up without a lot of notice and go home. So a lot of things was happening for them. And I think they were feeling overwhelmed and a lot of uncertainty. So what we decided to do is, I had to check and adjust. I sat and I asked myself, what does the world need from me right now? And what am I able to give? And so with that, I said, okay, people are going to need resources and information. We were planning for an event that was going to take place on Bimini Island in the Bahamas, and we had to redirect. And so we made that an online event, but we also made some changes to it. So instead of it being your standard sales program that you go to a sales conference, we actually added things like Meet the Recruiter. So Meet the Recruiter within that process allowed people to get comfortable and talk to recruiters and ask questions about, how do I engage you now virtually? What are you recruiters expecting? How do I find you? What should my resume look like? How should I prepare for a virtual interview? And things of that nature. So now we've added on the Meet the Recruiter program, and we're having another one coming up. We're going to do them now quarterly. So there'll be one in November and there'll be another in January.
It's interesting that this has created a whole new avenue for you, really, in order to
an entire new avenue
opportunity.
Yes, absolutely. And and so I also had to realize that some of the things that we were going to do online would not bring us the financial impact to the business that we were experiencing when we can go person and have events. But we still needed to do those things in order to support the individuals that were supporting us, right? Mm-hmm. And to provide those programs. So we're also doing webinars every month for individuals. We're doing webinars like financial investing during COVID, real estate, buy or sell. Should you buy or sell right now? Restructuring small business, where we're having like the Small Business Association and other groups on there, franchising organization to educate you on franchises. And then we're doing mental health in December, right? Because right now people are really struggling emotionally and mentally, trying to get through this pandemic. And so again, we're steady fast with the programs that we initially had, our conferences and things, but we are doing whatever we can to, as I always say, inform, educate, and engage our audience. and give them what they need.
So tell me more about your sweet spot, your audience of the services that you provide for.
We have two target audiences, and one is, and the reason for that is because I mentor college students, and I've been mentoring college students for nearly 20 years now when I think about it. And so my initial college babies, they're now millennials, and they're moving into leadership, and they're in that sales spectrum. They're coming to me and they're saying, well, and this is the reason for why Sales Network, right? Giving them what they need, because they said, we understand you're supporting college students, but we're grown up now and we need something else from you. So the millennial base, that person from I think it's 30 to 54, is our for Why Sales Network, who engage with us the most. But for our college podcast and my speaking engagements, for my virtual speaking engagements and things, we have the college students and individuals that are from 18 to 25.
Okay. So the college students at 18 to 35, are they the ones that they done sales courses and then they need that extra level coaching to get access into the industry? Or are you giving that sales education?
I'm giving them that sales education. My goal is to help people understand that no matter what your area of study is, you can take those transferable skills and information and get a job in the sales profession. So before this call, literally, a mom and her son that I've been coaching called me because he interviewed for a buyer position with academies. So they called and they said, how should this letter look, right? We just want to make sure this letter looks right, Miss Joyce. And so I'm telling students, right, especially right now, so it's so timely. If you studied medical and you can't get a job in the medical field, go sell medical supplies, medical equipment, pharmaceuticals. We did that with one of my sorority sisters' nieces, so she's working now for a pharmaceutical company in sales. If you're a political science major, right now the government is so stressed with trying to provide services, they aren't interviewing as much as they should be in some cases. Go to companies that have a vertical market, a public sector government market, because you speak the language, and go sell for them. And while you're communicating and touching people who you speak the language with, shake hands, well, not COVID, maybe bump elbows, but build rapport and relationships with those people so that you can find the job in the industry you want and stay relevant. But you continue to use that information and those tools and the language that you used in college.
It always amazes me that this is the sales profession, but there isn't a kind of a sales standard for education. And so you can't go to university or do a diploma or some kind of formal education. And it's really spotty globally, whereas there should be a global standard of what that means to be a sales professional. If you were a doctor or a lawyer, all these other professions need to have a formal education. And historically, a lot of people have fallen into sales. They hadn't planned it, but actually then loved it and had a great career and earned good money. So it just seems there's an opportunity here. Why aren't we kind of, there's a need, there's a demand, and there are, there's good experiences of trade, but why haven't we got the professional training to actually back that up to filter that through?
Absolutely. And some of the colleges are now offering sales degree programs, and some are offering sales certificate programs, but not nearly enough. And you make a really good point. When students graduate, and this is what I try to share with them, is 60% of the students that graduate, they're going to move in jobs that are really sales jobs. They may not say sales, but you and I know if you're going to be a recruiter, a loan officer, or a real estate, working in a real estate company, if there's most jobs, even if they say customer service. My favorite one is the enterprise car rental, right? They hire all these college students and for customer service jobs. And when you go to the airport, you get a car, they're upselling you and they're selling you. It is a sales job, right? And I'm not sure that they all receive the training that they really should to do that well, right? And so most of the jobs that are going to be available when they finish college, whether they say sales or not, they are going to be sales jobs. And if these employers, the colleges and universities were more honest with the students about that and prepared them for those jobs, they would be more successful at it. And that's why people get the bad myth or name or taste their mouth for sales, because they were not properly prepared when they went into that first job. They didn't really know that it was sales. And in addition to that, no matter what job you have, you're going to have goals you have to meet. You're going to have targets. And so don't be afraid of it. Go into the one that's going to be most fulfilling. It's been an amazing career for me in sales.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. If it was just a normal skill, they normalized it. It's like everyone's going to have to do this. It's like math.
Right.
We're all going to always have to negotiate. We always have to provide a service. All of these are sales attributes. So if it was just this is how business works, this is how, communicating with your customer, this is what is expected, it is just normal. The problem is, as soon as you put sales into it, then people then go off on a tangent and start to think,
Absolutely.
what it is. Yeah.
And that's my greatest challenge when I'm trying to go out and talk to universities and colleges about sales. And so everyone says, well, you should go in and talk about something else. And I do have other programs like Own Your Diversity, Navigating a Corporate Pie, that prepare them for the workforce. But I don't want to sugarcoat it. It is sales. And so my toughest sell is to those administrators and people responsible for careers. And, and they've been getting away with the fact that, oh, we have 97% placement. No, you don't. You had 97% placement of the students who reported. The other 30%, 40% of students that did not report back is because they don't have a job.
Yeah, interesting.
And if you train them in sales, they can take the transferable skills that you've taught them here at the university level, and they can go and get a job.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and as I say, get off their parents' couch.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Because their rooms are no longer their rooms. Their rooms have been converted to something else. So they're sleeping on the couch.
So what was your kind of access into this whole area that you cover?
Well, the way I got into sales actually was I got a little exposed to it in college while working in the sports information department. I went to school. I wanted to be a journalist. I was a journalist in high school, college. So I've always been a writer to that lead to my books, of publishing my books finally. And when I graduated college, I was working in a department store selling shoes. But they didn't name it sales, right? It was like associate, customer service associate, whatever. And I was earning great commissions and doing a great job. But when you graduate from college, you feel like you need to get that after college job. So my first job in sales, it was not great. It was that nifty job of, commission only and not having the resources and people and development, things that you need at. But I found my way back to sales, and I loved it. And I wanted to, and I thrived in it, because at that point I really understood and I studied it, and there were people, mentors there for me, and there were resources and what have you. So I want to help other students as they graduate understand that and say, if even if you want to get something else, the best entry into a company is through the sales department.
Yeah, that's true.
People enter sales all the time with wanting to eventually go to HR and training and development, other careers, but sales is a good entry into any organization.
And, sales is such a great skill. It'll never be something, that you should regret, because you'll always take those skills forward with whatever you choose to do thereafter, if you choose to change.
Absolutely. And it teaches you well on how to navigate, how to build relationships, how to, leadership, influence, decisions that are being that will take place. Many years ago, schools started requiring all students to take a speech class so that they can learn how to speak openly and get over their fear of speaking. At minimum, they should take a sales class.
So, talking about people going into sales as a career, I'm interested in your view on diversity and how the sales industry has progressed, because it's all very well students going into it, but are they received really well depending on their backgrounds? It may be that you've got a personal story coming from a sales background that you've got, or other experience you'd like to share and views.
Yes. Well, when I left corporate last year, I actually was vice president of the African American Business Resource Group, which is an employee resource group, the affinity group for those who aren't aware of that. And then I was active with the Women's Resource Group. I volunteered for community service with the Hispanic Resource Group, and I did some planning partnerships with the Veteran Resource Groups because both my dad and my grandfather were Marines. So I have a lot of experience in things with the resource groups. I think that the companies are focused on diversity and bringing in diversity hires. The work needs to be done on the inclusiveness. Diversity is one thing, but if people are feeling included in the organization, then you decrease your turnover, you have longevity and people staying and feeling more committed to the organization. I say to companies, one thing that a mentor I got from one of my mentors in diversity before is that it's important that your video looks like your audio. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, that doesn't happen. And especially around our African American students, which is why really I'm thinking that we're going to do a HBCU tour. I'm looking for a grant to do it so we can just do it, right? And the reason for that is, I see where companies will interview African American graduates and put them in a call center, inside sales, or what have you, and and give them $30,000 base plus commissions, maybe 35,000 base plus commissions, and it's oh, you should be happy to have this type of theme, right? And then they take the younger white kids and other races, and they put them in outside sales, and they give them a $50,000-$60,000 base salary, and they earn $100,000 their first year, buy their first home. And so the work still needs to be done. I have companies reaching out to me now asking to help with their diversity and inclusion strategies because of the work I've done in diversity and inclusion. And I'm saying to them, if your plan is a one-year plan, I'm not interested. Because someone has to be hired and trained, within an 18-month period first before you even know if you're doing, good job somewhat on keeping them there.
Yeah.
Then you need to, go back to them and find out what's going to keep them there. How are they feeling about being with the organization, right? Right now I'm taking, because I've always led diversity by what I say is my heart and common sense. Now I'm taking a certificate program from Cornell University in diversity and inclusion because I wanted to get the foundational basis of diversity and inclusion and really understand the terminology and things like that to make sure that the way that I'm leading people is in the right direction. But I do think that we still need to have some work done. There's been many times, even last year, where I was the only woman and person of color in the room, right? And so when I'm training the students that, my female students and whatever or African American students ask me about it, I'm very honest with them, transparent, say, but that's okay. You're in the room.
Yeah.
Make the best of being in a room.
Yeah. Make it count.
Make it count.
Mm.
When I was in the room, people asked me one interview that I had, how was it being a woman? How'd you go into these meetings? I never thought of the meetings of going in as a woman. I just thought going in as Joyce Johnson, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever there was a challenge about my color or me being a woman, that did come up, and and I was ready for it, but I wasn't waiting on it, I should say.
Yeah.
I just went in knowing that I was the best professional there, and the best person to do the job.
Your view on inclusivity, it's all very well being diverse, but unless people feel comfortable, they're not going to stay anyway. You're not going to get
No,
the numbers.
no.
Yeah, I remember when I was at doing my MBA, and I had this French professor come in, and it was really in the UK. It was the first time when we were talking about diversity, and she was saying to the MBA group her research and what her answer to it was. And I tell you, Joyce, I got so mad, honestly. So, and this woman was saying that the answer was that the ethnic minorities within companies need training and mentoring so that they can cope with the situation. It's like, she's got that twisted. Actually,
Yeah.
if you're welcoming, as you've said, a diverse audience, it's about making them feel inclusive, not by separating them, saying you've got the problem. Actually, it's the culture
Right.
that needs to adapt and change in order for it to be inclusive. Yeah.
Yes, well, that,
I got
that's
so
been the
mad.
approach when you think about the employee resource groups.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's been happening. You guys get together and figure it out, right?
Yeah.
And support one another, mentor one another, and we do that. And it makes me chuckle a little bit when they say DEI, right?
Yeah.
Because the equity piece really came after the I. So what they really need to realize is either you get this right, or it's not going to be about DEI, it's going to be about DIE.
Yeah. Yeah.
The organization is going to die because it's not going to have the diverse thought and the diverse, as someone mentioned on something I was reading the other day or maybe watching, the court systems have been doing this unknowingly, right? When you have a jury and you have a jury of multiple people, the conversation expands because you have that African American on the jury, you have the Hispanic on jury, you have the white male, and they sit there as jurors and they talk things out, and they all bring diverse views to get the outcome of what's needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Great example. And I love DIE. I might borrow that from you, Joyce. That was a good
You can
one.
have it because I tell them, don't put the E in the middle because the E came last,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The E came last, and the E came last for a reason, but when you saw it, you got afraid. And so you moved it to the middle. No, don't move it to the middle.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, well, the letters go, and everyone's looking for an acronym for everything else, but they were afraid of that acronym.
Yeah. Yeah.
That acronym is DIE, D-I-E.
So Joyce, with all of your years of experience, what's the one tried and tested strategy you'd offer listeners to help them to scale their sales?
Follow up. I say to my students and everyone all the time, get up, show up, and follow up. And follow up again and follow up again. It's proven that the salesperson that's most successful follows up, 3 to 5 times, and many don't because they get discouraged. It's okay if people say no. Sometimes a no means right now, not right now, right? A no means that, yes, I'm busy or I don't have the funds. Find out why the no. Continue to follow up and ask why. Why no right now? And if they just say no because I don't need your product or service, okay, now you can move on. But if it's no because I don't have the money right now, or no because I haven't gotten approvals or things, follow up.
Yeah.
Get up, show up, and follow up is really important. And especially right now to, for us to really go believe in something greater than ourselves. It's something else I always tell my college students. And get up every morning, dust yourself off, no matter what you're feeling. Go deep, bring it up. Get up, show up, and follow up every day.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So, Joyce, if you were on a desert island on your own, what's the one thing you would take with you?
I said water to that, and because I don't know, I don't think they're going to have a lot of water in the desert, and I want to be able. I know if water hydrates me, water keeps you, when it hydrates you, it keeps you thinking, keeps your mind clear. and keep your body clear and cleanse, and so I just think that I would need some water, and as long as I have water, if I want to write a book, I can write it in the sand, I can write notes on a rock, I can take some rocks and build a fire, what have you. There's probably something out there that I can fight with and kill, and and cook some food.
Mm.
But definitely some water to keep my mind hydrated, my body hydrated, so that I can continue to think.
Great, good for you. So what's the one way that listeners can get hold of you? I'll obviously put more show notes and references in there.
Yeah, absolutely. I am on LinkedIn quite often. So Joyce J on LinkedIn, because I know there's a lot of Joyce Johnsons, but Joyce J, I don't know. I've been on LinkedIn, I guess, a very long time. So I have Joyce J, which is pretty simple.
Yeah.
You can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. Also, I have my personal website. I am Joyce Johnson. I'm on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at I am Joyce Johnson. And then, of course, through our organization, Y Sales Network, at www.ysalesnetwork.com.
Excellent. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for sharing your experience and your knowledge. Thank you for being a guest on Scale Your Sales podcast, Joyce Johnson.
Thank you.